Hello everyone. I'm back with another video. Today I decided to make dinner and I'm going to make some chicken and rice. So right here I have 2 large chicken thighs that I have seasoned well. They're clean and I'm going to let them boil and then turn them down to simmer. And then I'll come back and I'll add some more ingredients to it because it already has a little bit of salt and pepper. And right here, I'm going to make some pasta salad. It's very simple. I'm using the large noodles. My video camera went out, so I'm going to leave that recipe down in the description box. But this came out really good. It's just a basic carrot, broccoli, onions, just some veggies, and that pasta salad came out good. Right here, I'm just putting some carrots in here, and I'm going to let them soften just a bit. That's why I added them close to the end. Then I'll rinse this, and I came back and I added some tiny pieces of broccoli because that will be in the salad as well. And I've just used some ranch dressing and some onion powder, garlic powder. Just season it up really well. But like I said, I'll leave that recipe. And right here my chicken is still cooking. And I'm just going to let that cook until it gets tender. And I will be using some red onion and bell pepper also in the pasta. And this is how it came out, guys. And it was very tasty. So here I am. I'm back with the chicken. I did go back and I took the skin off. And that little slush that boils up to the side of the pot, I also removed that. I started to debone it, but I just left the bone in. And I'm just adding some garlic powder. I'm going to add a little bit of onion powder and garlic powder. And I'm going to add some of this seasoned oil. I like this because it's not too salty like the Lowry's. And I'm going to add some black pepper. Then I'm going to add a little bit of sage. I like sage in my chicken and rice. And I'm going to add some butter. And that was the last little bit of butter. So I just rinsed the little butter cup out. And I put water in it and just poured it back into the pot. So I'm going to give this a good mix. After I add a little bit of salt to it. And guys, this came out really good. So I got it back on the stove and I'm just going to let it cook some more. And always let your chicken cook until it gets tender when you're doing chicken and rice or any type of chicken dish. So right here I'm going to add some bell pepper and I'm adding some chopped onions. That is going to give it another layer of flavor. So I'm going to let it cook. Just let it continue to cook down. And make sure you have enough water in your pot so it won't burn. So now I'm going to do this cube steak. And these 2 pieces were pretty big. And on this, I'm just going to do the same thing. Add some salt, pepper, onion powder, garlic powder. Well, right here I add a little bit of seasoning, but I did have to end up adding a little salt because I have something else that I'm going to add to this before it finishes. And after I added my seasoning to this side, I just took my fork and I just poked it with my fork to help it tenderize a little bit so it's not so tight, kind of loosen up the texture. And I could have used a bowl to pepper it, to put flour on, but I just put it on top. Then I flipped my steaks over and I seasoned them again with the same method, same seasoning, and I put flour on. But my mistake was I didn't have enough oil in my pan to shallow fry it, and it was kind of sticking, but it turned out really good when I got finished with it. And after I got everything together, the last step, I just let the steak simmer for about an hour, and it was very moist and tender. So I'm just rubbing my flour in. And always make sure you have enough oil when you're frying your steaks, because it will stick. And see, I just had a little bit of oil, but I should have added a little more. I usually add a little more oil, but I was trying to go light, but I got the mission accomplished. It worked out. So I'm just frying this on medium, and I'm gonna cut this onion up for the steak and gravy. I will be adding that. And this meal was very good, guys. It came out really good. My grandson was over and he enjoyed it. And then I had leftovers. It was really tasty. So I'm back. I'm using parboiled rice. I like to use this kind of rice when I'm doing a rice dish because the rice holds the texture. It separates. It doesn't get all mushy. I will use the regular long grain, but I prefer the parboiled. So I just rinsed a cup of rice, measure the cup, rinse it, add it to my chicken that has been cooking. Well, I can't call it my chicken that has stewed down. So I'm just adding a little more seasoning. And make sure you always taste your food before it gets done. Make sure you have enough seasoning on it. So I'm going to let that chicken and rice cook. I flip my steak over. I'm going to add some onions, and I think my camera went out here. So when I got back, I just had to add some water. You can tell it was sticking a little, but I ended up adding some flour, a little bit of flour to brown it, and now I'm just going to add the beefy onion, the soup mix, the generic Lipton soup mix, and this works just as well. Just make sure you have enough water in there. And it has those onions too, so that really gives it more flavor. And make sure you season this to taste. So I didn't have a lid for that pan. I'm just gonna put it in my pot right here. That has a lid on it, and I'm gonna let it simmer for an hour. And this was really tasty. It had my kitchen scented up. Well, really the kitchen in the living area. Here is my chicken and rice. It's cooking up really good. I thought I had bay leaves, guys, to put in my chicken and rice, but I didn't. That gives it a lot of flavor. also, if you have thyme, that gives it a lot of flavor. So I'm just going to open up a can of sweet peas, season these, and that's going to be our vegetable for the dinner. So here's my steak. It looks good. It's smelling good. And like I say, just let it simmer for about an hour or until it gets to the texture that you like. My chicken and rice is almost done. And then last, I decided to open a can of pumpkin. This is 100% pumpkin. I wanted to do some yams, but I said no, I might as well use this can of pumpkin. So I went by most of this recipe on the back. It said to add 1.5 cups of evaporated milk, but I only added 1 cup, and that was good enough for me. But I found out
have a thicker texture
when I'm doing
I'll need to add
pumpkin
little flour, but I don't know, I guess that's just me.
But it came out really good. So here I am adding my milk. I'm using evaporated milk. I'm going to add a little nutmeg. I'm going to add some cinnamon. And like I say, this recipe is on the back of that can. Now I'm going to add some cake batter flavor, and this is really, really good, guys. And I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla. And right here, I'm going to add some brown sugar. I am using the light brown sugar. And if you don't have the brown sugar, you can just use the regular granulated. But I think this gives it a better flavor. And it also helps it taste better too, guys. Alright, so I've added everything together. I'm just going to mix this really good. Make sure I got all the eggs and the milk and the extracts and the seasonings in there. So the only thing I'm going to do now is just get my glass bowl. I'm going to spray it. I have my oven on 350 degrees. I have preheated it. And I'm going to add my pumpkin mix. And I'm going to let it bake. I let this bake for about 30 minutes. And it came out really good. It had a lot of flavor to it. The recipe called for ginger. I didn't have ginger, so I just used the cinnamon and the nutmeg. So here is my grandson plate. I plated him up a plate. He really enjoyed it. This is the pumpkin souffle or pumpkin bread. Well, I can't call it bread because I don't have any flour in it, but this was really good. And my aunt loves pumpkin, so I will be giving her some of it. So here I am going to plate up another plate. Well, I'm going to plate me up some. The pasta, the chicken and rice, the steak, the sweet peas, and I'm going to add a slice of the pumpkin pie. Here it is, guys. Everything was delicious. Everything came out really good. I hope you get to try some of these recipes. I will leave that recipe for the pasta salad down in the description box